Welcome back. Those were snippets of the president broadcast of yesterday, as well as the assent to the 2024 budget. Now, improving dynamics in the oil sector will provide tailwinds to Nigeria's economy this year. The 650,000 barrel per day Dangote refinery located near Lagos received its first crude shipment last month, indicating that fuel production will commence in the first quarter of this year. Now, for decades, Nigeria has struggled to meet its domestic fuel needs through local refining due to underinvestment in its refineries, with mineral fuel imports having reached roughly 40% of total imports in 2022. While the Dangote refinery will not reach its maximum production level this year, it will still significantly reduce Nigeria's dependency on imported fuel. International finance and economic analyst Mukhtar Mohammed joins me now to discuss further. Many thanks for joining me, Mukhtar.
Thank you for having me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Let's quickly examine some of the key takeaways from the president's speech and other aspects. According to the president, the primary objectives on his agenda list are ensuring food security and reducing food inflation. Well, from what we know, the National Bureau of Statistics revealed that the nation's food inflation is at an alarming rate of 32.84%. The president said to ensure constant food supply, security, and affordability, that they would step up plan to cultivate 500,000 hectares of farmland across the country to grow maize, rice, wheat, millet, and other staple crops. They also launched the dry season farming with about 120,000 hectares of land in Jigawa State last November under the National Wheat Development Program. What do you really think of this rollout? Because Nigerians were actually almost so hungry in the year 2023. How do we address food security for 2024, Mukhtar?
I like the way you put it. How do we ensure food security? That was security will always come. So for us in Nigeria now, as it stands now, to have food security is to have security so that the farmers will be able to go to farm. All this policy are good policy, but if you don't have farmers going to go to farm because of insecurity, you cannot achieve it. You look at the states that are the food basket, they are the Northeast, and most of those states are suffering from insecurity challenges. So as long as the president is trying to address all critical issues that he said, I think the most important one is brings security back. Once you bring security back, security is the forerunner of prosperity. So once you have security, then the people will have confidence to go out to do their business and they will start prospering. So listening to the president's speech, I mean, it's all about talk. It has been like that since the president came in. You talk, this is the policy, what we want to do. The only policy that the president have hit the ground running with is the removal of subsidy, the floating of the currency. Every other policy they have told us about attracting investment, bringing down exchange rate by December, everything, no one has worked this thus far. So I think for me, they need to do a lot of work in terms of backing their word with action. It's more or less becoming like the people want to hear me. This is what I'm going to talk to them. The speech of Mr. President yesterday does not come up with details of what he wants to do. The only details you could say the president came out with is in the area of when he said the security, they will improve the security apparatus and that. But every other thing was just like, let me just say it. Then after saying it, then we could sit down and begin to look for solution to it.
All right. Now, for tax and fiscal policy reforms, the president said his administration will reform the tax and fiscal policies. But you said specifically that the president has not really said the specific word, but he said they want to enable business environment to thrive. And he also added that he will not hesitate to remove any clog hindering local and foreign investment in the country. What do you really think we should do differently? We've always talked about in widening the tax net and making sure that the poor people are not overtaxed. How do you see the outlook for taxation and the fiscal policy for this year, 2024?
I think for taxation, I'm a little bit hopeful, maybe because of the Presidential Committee on Taxation, led by somebody that knows what he's doing, all his antecedents. So maybe I'm excited on that, and I'm waiting for the white paper to come out or the report of that committee to come out. Then we'll see how we take it from there. Then secondly, when the president talked about businesses, that was a good one. But again, it didn't tell us how they are going to achieve this. So look, when it comes to SMEs, when it comes to business, all about based on demand and supply. So you do your own work, demand and supply will take care of itself. So they were good, like I keep saying, there were good speeches on cost of doing, businesses and that. And I think the most important thing that can happen in the tax net is widening the tax bracket. And when I say widening the tax, I'm not taxing the already taxed, but I'm saying widening the tax bracket. Now we begin to move to the informal sector. The thing is that up to this moment, we've not been able to capture the informal sector. And until we do that, then we'll not be able to catch large number of people that are playing in the economy. So what the government should do is try to come up with innovation, with strategies on how to get the informal sector to begin to pay tax.
Right.
Let that woman that sells pepper be wanting to pay tax. Let that woman that does business by the roadside wants to pay tax. So that, for me, is going to be the game changer. Not just you widen the tax bracket, tax the relative tax, or you don't want to tax the poor. So those are a lot of things that the president needs to do. I hope in terms of fiscal policy, seeing it that no matter what you do in the monetary side, when the physical side does not synergize with you, then there's a challenge. And I hope this administration have a change in those areas.
Let's talk about implementation of the new living wage for workers. The president also affirmed his commitment to increase the living wage of workers this year. According to him, the economic aspirations and the material well-being of the poor, the most vulnerable, and the working people shall not be neglected. Mukhtar, we've been talking about minimum wage since late the fourth quarter of last year. We know what happened with the labor strikes and every other thing. What is the living wage, and then how do you really see this working out this year, and the capacity of the federating states? Do you think they can actually follow suit?
Let's start with the last question. Ordinarily, every state will have to do its own minimum wage. Lagos State should not be collecting the same minimum wage somebody in Jigawa or Kano State. Lagos State workers, those are different entirely. Again, cost of living, if you look at the Bureau of Statistics report, you realize cost of living in some places are higher than cost of living in those other places. Now, the whole point of the government is going to set up a minimum wage. That doesn't mean that's where it will stand. So the state will be forced to pay that minimum. And I don't think any state should complain about paying minimum wage this year because, again, their income has drastically increased. States are sharing one of the best in terms of income they've ever said before. And that was because of the removal of subsidies. So I think there's still a lot to be done in that aspect to make sure that they have a living minimum wage. And like you say, what is the living minimum wage? Is it a minimum wage that will be above inflationary pressure? That is the living minimum wage, whereby by minimum wage you will be able to attract inflation. To be able to address inflation in my purchasing power, and also I still have more. I still have some also left to tackle other issues. So for me, it's not just the same, like I keep saying. The government kept saying this, what they want to do, but they have not been able to do any of those policies yet. They come up with one excuse or the other. I hope this could just be the game changer.
All right, let's talk about petroleum. There's been so much hope on the Dangote since last year. Modular, Port Harcourt, and the Dangote refinery are set to begin operation this year. The president stated that the local refineries, that's the Port Harcourt refinery, as well as the privately owned one, that's the Dangote refinery, all come on stream today. It's as though we are putting so much hope on Dangote, for this year. How do you see this? Is this a silver lining, Mukhtar? Would this change all the issues that we've had in the downstream sector?
It will change it, Justin. It will change it. It will change it. I'm confident it will change it. It's good to have Dangote refinery come on stream. And so we are going to see a lot of activities on that space, direct job, indirect jobs. So we're so excited, looking forward to it. Hopefully, we don't have any issues again because they've started saying that by December they'll start distributing PMS and diesel and others. I've not seen that yet. Hopefully, maybe we'll see that later before the end of this month. Again, that refinery, like I said, is one of the largest refinery in the world. So definitely, we expect it to hit some capacity, but it will not start with hitting maximum capacity in terms of production, but as time goes on, but what is Dangote Refinery saying they will concentrate on is to make sure they have PMS supply to the Nigerian market. Now, would that bring the cost of PMS down? In the short term, it will bring the cost down, but not relative to how we want it. But in the long term, when market competition comes in, then it will be. I'm happy that the Dangote is thinking of coming on with this refinery. That's the same time NNPC is saying that Port Harcourt refinery will be ready. And Port Harcourt refinery is closer to the base than moving cheap from Port Harcourt to Lagos for Dangote refinery and or moving it to LMA Port Harcourt. So it's going to be a good thing to look at. I think for me, the best thing that can happen to us this year is to get those two refineries working in optimal levels, and then we reduce our dependence on importation of fuel, which if you look at from the data from the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, that's in the one that take the last chunk of the effects in the economy. So this will be a very good one for us.
All right. One thing that Nigerians are still talking about, each time is power, electricity, all of that. The president also promised steady power supply through power installation project. Okay, so Mukhtar, I just want to get your thoughts concerning that, because we are tired of hearing up NEPA all the time and all of that. So how do we really just go about getting steady power supply from this year and beyond?
I think steady power supply will do more in both administratively, technically, because the administrative part is to get the right players to come and want to have licenses. And the technical part is for them to have the technical partner. And then the financial part, you have the financial muscles. If you look at the privatization that we've had before, most of these three aspects are missing. And that's why we are still challenging our system up NEPA. Because the finance is not there, the technical know-how is not there, the administrative regulatory framework is not as deep as we want it to be. So when you look at these three factors, those are the three factors that can actually transmit power to our households and also be a game changer. But once these factors are not being addressed by the government, you cannot see any result. Why is government still holding on to distribution? Why is government want to be the sole one that distributes? And government said, okay, we are distributing. We have about more than 10,000 megawatts, but we can only impact 7. So how much has the administrative been able to enforce some policies on the discos to be able to start maximizing the numbers or receiving all that they have for? And what they need to do is to get a technical partner to work on their transmission, and all these things will be received. So there's still a lot of work to be done. But like I said, it seems to be saying all the right thing every time, but it don't seem to be doing all the right thing always.
All right, so Mukhtar, I don't know how much dollars we're able to amass for 2023, because if you have so much dollars right now, you're like the big man because of the whole forex regime issue and all of that. But let's project for 2024. I don't have so much dollars as it is. What should we be doing about our forex? Our forex regime, the issues of inflation, and our monetary policy generally, as we round off, what should we be looking at for this year 2024?
Monetary policy, deal with inflation, deal with exchange rate volatility. Then, if you deal with inflation, price will stabilize. So, and to deal with inflation, you need to attract FX, because over 90% of what we consume, we bring it out of the shore of this country. So we need to do that. We need to do that. The monetary policy will need to step in on time, because if you don't, then exchange rate is going to be a big problem coming here. If you look at what Blue Bank have already said, that they expect our Naira to be one of the worst performing currency in 2024, even after being one of the worst performing currency in 2023. So there's still a lot to be done in that space. And I think the government should channel most of its energy into that space to bring in that necessary stability that we want in that space.
All right, I just want to squeeze in the final, I promise you it's the final question. Specifically, the real sector, the manufacturing, what do you see, what do you project, and what should we be doing differently this year?
I think that sector will still have it tough this year in the area of, if you don't create stability in FX rates. That sector, it was the worst hit sector last year. And if you don't create that stability, you'll still be the worst hit back store this year. So what are we going to do? They need to work as much as possible to create stability in that space. That is the only thing that sector is looking for now, stability. Once you create that stability, it will address a lot of issues. So I think CBN know what to do. They need to create stability in that space for me. That is all we need to talk about. Create that stability. Let for once have a stable rate. Let it be between the naira and the dollar. How far can it go this year, Justin? It all depends on two key things. Number one, Dangote refinery is coming on soon, so the trade on FX will go down based on the data from Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. So that could help drive down the exchange rate. Number two, attract foreign investors back to Nigeria by that portfolio of foreign direct investors. Number three, let the exchange rate merge. Once there is merger in the exchange rate, Nigerian diaspora would rather remit through the bank. But once there's no merger through the exchange rate, they will always look for means to send that money for that money to be exchanged in the parallel market.
True.
So the government need to make stability. And once you create stability, you have disrupted the system of the currency, what I call I'm trying to get our economics on the economic term that we use. And people, just currency, they just try to without any fundamentals. So currency speculators. Once you are able to get enough liquidity into the system, then you are able to deal with foreign currency speculators. When you deal with foreign speculators, when they get their hands on, when they come into the system, rate will come down. Then the next phase of it is how do you maintain that rate? You need to consistently do these three things that you are doing to consistently put rate at that stable rate for a very long time.
Thank you so much, Mukhtar. We just hope the government will have a listening ear and be able to just stabilize these critical sectors, and there's some points that you have made today. Many thanks for all of the insight. We do appreciate them.
Thank you, Justin, for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. And that's the size of the show for today. I am Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for being there. Bye for now.